how have you found the ability to, a couple of things. The first thing is find good classes and coaches and mentors, because I think a lot of people struggle with knowing, like, do I trust this? Do I not? Good question for people to ask. And second part is, how do you commit and stay on top of it when naturally, like, it's easier to just sit at home and watch TV?
Two things. Yeah. How do I commit and stay on top of it? I pay in advance.
Right. That's a great one.
I pay in advance.
I
pay my nutrition and fitness coach in advance. I pay my therapist and emotional coach a year in advance. And we schedule it every 2 weeks for the year.
Yeah.
So I've got money invested, I've got time and calendar organized, committed.
Yeah, so it's not like, oh, I'll pay you every week when I come. We'll see when the meeting gets set up.
It's not one class at a time. It's a block of time in advance. It takes time.
It's forced discipline, yeah.
Forced discipline. And when you're invested in it, you pay more attention to it. As our friend Dean Graziosi says, he says, you pay attention to what you pay for, right? And you'll pay more attention when you pay more money, typically. I'm not saying you need to spend tons of money. A lot of things that I've gotten from free mentorship, whether it be people just giving me time, me learning from podcasts, books, videos, courses, things like that, that were free and available online. But I've always seen accelerated results when I invest in something, when I invest in something, and I know I've got to do a period of time to complete it. That's number one. Number two, and how do I find them?
How do you know who to trust, and how do you find them?
How do I know who to trust? I typically ask people that I respect. So I'll ask you, hey, do you know someone who could help me on this? So I trust and respect you. If you have a referral, then I'll probably trust that person, or at least I'll jump on a call. But otherwise, it's, you can find a lot of people online and see what they're creating, how their energy is, their vibe, and things like that. You can consume some of their information. You can see testimonials. You can check in with those testimonials or referrals. So I just kind of follow that process. And I'll always do like an intro session with someone if it's like coaching, to see, like, do we really connect before I commit a year in advance or 3 months in advance. So it's making sure that they've got results that I respect, and they've worked with people and helped them overcome challenges that I respect as well. Then it becomes more of a thing that I trust diving into. And to go back to what you were saying just before that about kind of giving people layups and stuff. Yeah. I wasn't like that until 10 years ago. I mean, in some ways I was, but it wasn't until 10 years ago when I had this kind of initial transformation of letting go of big parts of my ego, where I said that I have to be extreme in a sense the other way, because I was so competitive. I wanted to be right. I wanted to win. I wanted to be number one at everything.
I can't imagine you like that. I can imagine, like, I know you're competitive in sport, obviously, but like, as an energy, I didn't know you then. Maybe
people didn't feel it, but internally that was driving me, right? In a lot of ways. And it was all based on a wound that I hadn't healed yet. Once I started to heal, I was like, oh, wow, I've had this all wrong. Everything was win-lose to me as opposed to win-win. So 10 years ago, I actually learned the concept of win-win for the first time, or at least I understood it for the first time. Maybe I'd heard it as a kid, but I didn't embody it until I was able to face that and wake up to it. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to start this show. It's not going to be about me. It's going to shine the light on everyone else. I want to practice this. I want to overcome this consistently. And I was really inspired by Oprah, where she just always shined the light on others, right? For 20 something years. And she's talked about it before. It's like when you shine the light, there's always a reflection of light back on you. And the more you do that for more people over time, you become brighter in return. And that's not the goal to become brighter necessarily for selfish reasons, but it naturally happens. You reflected the light back on you. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's something that you do so well by lifting others up. It's something that I try to do really well by lifting my friends up, like we did on Red Table Talk. When, Jada is asking a question, I'm like, gosh, I know Stefan has the perfect answer for this because I've heard him say this 3 times. Yeah. So I go, Stefan, you know what to say here, Or when Matthew had a different perspective on something else, I was like, Matthew, man, you said this amazing thing about this before. Can you share what this is? Devon, I've heard you say this. So, I learned this early on because I didn't feel like I had the answers or I was smart in my early 20s. So I wouldn't speak a lot from my perspective. I would just ask curious questions. And after a couple hours of meeting with someone, I never really spoke about me. I would just ask about them. At the end of the conversation, they were like, man, you're the most interesting person I've ever met. And I was like, I didn't share anything about my life. I just asked you questions. But people want to feel that you're curious and interested in them, and then they'll think you're extremely interesting.
I feel like it's also just something that you also naturally listen. And I think that, I think a lot of these things are often used as techniques, and they don't come across as genuine, because if you ask a question, you actually have to listen, and then you actually have to remember, and then you'd ask a follow-up question. And I think sometimes you can tell when it's disingenuous, or
you can feel when it's off.
You can feel it from a mile off,
or like it's manipulative or something.
Yeah,